Welcome to Brain Food Bytes, and today's topic is the election tax implications. And I'm Melanie Lauridsen, AICPA VP of Tax Policy and Advocacy. So there's a lot of speculation as to what will happen in the tax arena. And before I jump in, I want to make a couple of disclosures. So first, both presidential candidates have talked about tax policy proposals, but no specifics have been released. And I'm constantly asked if we're going to be advocating on certain positions, and at this moment, there is nothing to advocate on since there just aren't any specifics. I've also only captured the main policies that the presidential candidates have made statements about, so we won't be seeing things like the SALT cap deduction, which isn't to say that they won't have a policy on it, but so far they haven't taken a position. And things can change wildly at any given moment between now and the election. And finally, I need to mention the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, TCJA, of 2017 that included significant changes to the tax code and is the current basis of our tax system. Now, many of these changes were enacted on a temporary basis and are set to expire at the end of 2025. Now, all of this has led to a lot of speculation, as I mentioned, as to what will happen. But regardless of who's in office in 2025, lawmakers will have to take a look at TCJA expiring provisions. So with that, we're going to take a look at what former President Trump and Vice President Harris have proposed. And we're going to start with the individual taxation proposals that are listed on this slide. So, individual income tax rates. Currently, TCJA lowered marginal income tax rate for many. So as an example, the top tax rate was cut from 39.6% to 37%, and it is set to revert back to 39.6% after 2025. Now, Harris has proposed increasing the top tax rate back to 39.6%, and she has promised that households with incomes under $400,000 will not see a tax increase. Now, on the other hand, Trump has promised to make TCJA permanent, keeping the tax rates where they are currently at. Moving on to capital gains rates, the current top tax rate is 20%, and the net investment income tax, the NIT, is 3.5%. And Harris plans to increase the top tax rate to 28% and increase the NIT to 5%. She's also endorsed a proposal to tax unrealized gains for the super wealthy. Again, there are no specifics how that would go about and how unrealized gains would be captured. Now, Trump doesn't have a current proposal for this. Taxations on tips is an interesting proposal because this is one of the few, if not the only policy where both candidates seem to agree and both candidates support eliminating tax on tips. Regarding the child tax credit, TCJA increased the tax credit for each child under 17 from $1,000 to $2,000. And if TCJA expires, the child tax credit will fall back to $1,000, but you have to keep in mind that the child tax credit is not indexed for inflation. Now, Harris echoed her position during the debate that she wanted to increase the child tax credit to $6,000. And it's also our understanding that she has proposed this increase for those with infants under 1 year old and a $3,600 credit for all others. Now, Trump has said he wants to make TCJA permanent, meaning the child tax credit would stay at $2,000. The current estate tax under TCJA doubles the estate tax exemption, and if this provision expires, the exemption in 2026 will be about $14.3 million for married couples compared to the $28.6 million if the provision was extended. Now, Trump wants to make TCJA permanent, while we just don't know what Harris is thinking on this issue. Now, regarding the corporate tax rate with TCJA, there was a permanent reduction of the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. Now, Harris has endorsed President Biden's proposal to increase the corporate tax rate to 28%, while Trump has suggested lowering it to 15 to 20%. Now, under TCJA, there were deductions for small businesses that are set to expire. So, for example, the Section 199 Cap A, or the 100% bonus depreciation, also the research and experimentation expensing that was expired or did expire in 2021. It should be noted that all of these small business deductions, all of these policies are in place to offset the overall cost of the corporate provisions, which is bringing that tax rate down. Now, neither candidate has said anything specific about those small business deductions. However, in September, VP Harris announced a slew of proposals to benefit small business formation, which includes a startup deduction of up to $50,000. So far, there's nothing specific from Trump. Everything I covered with TCJ is complicated and difficult to cover in a few minutes. And we have this great landing page with lots of different articles, webcasts, videos, and resources that we will continue to update as things progress. So with that, I thank you very much for watching this episode of Brain Food Bites.